everyone. Ready to dive into some spicy internet drama?
Always.
Well, today we're taking a look at a particularly juicy thread over on Kiwi Farms.
Oh, Kiwi Farms. They always seem to find the wildest stuff.
Right. It all centers around Nick Rekieta, or Rekieta Law as he's known online. Seems like he might be in a bit of a financial pickle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're talking potential foreclosure on his house up in Minnesota. And get this, the whole thing was unearthed not by journalists, but by the internet sleuths over on Kiwi Farms.
Wow, those folks really do love their deep dives, huh?
It's pretty impressive, actually. A user named Melty Butter stumbled upon a public foreclosure notice for Rekieta's primary residence. Just out there for anyone to see.
I guess public records are, well, public. What did it say exactly?
Well, it mentions a potential sale date of February 4th, 2025.
2025. That's over a year away.
It is, but the notice details an outstanding amount of, get this, $307,749.05.
Oof, that's a hefty chunk of change.
And it gets even more interesting. Another user, going by Balldo's Gate, jumped into the thread to explain that Rekieta initially bought the house without a mortgage.
No mortgage. That's pretty unusual.
Apparently so, but he ended up taking one out in April of 2022 for $316,000.
Wait, so he owned the house outright and then took out a mortgage on it? Why would he do that?
That's the million-dollar question. And it sparked a whole lot of speculation on Kiwi Farms. Some users are suggesting his income might have taken a hit due to a drop in super chats on his YouTube channel.
That makes sense. Super chats can be a pretty unreliable income stream.
Others are pointing to Rekieta's past, bringing up allegations of unpaid bills and taxes. They're painting a picture of someone who might be a little, shall we say, irresponsible with his finances.
It's all speculation at this point, but those allegations definitely add another layer to this story.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if there's more to this than meets the eye.
And it's not just idle chatter either. One user, Mr. Manchester, even went so far as to question whether Rekieta simply stopped paying his mortgage. Yeah, they were drawing parallels to other alleged instances of Rekieta not paying his dues.
Interesting. It's amazing how these online communities can really dig into someone's past.
They really can. It shows you the power of internet sleuthing. While they engage in a lot of speculation, they do often manage to uncover information that might otherwise go unnoticed.
True. And in this case, a publicly available document has sparked a wave of online discussion and analysis. It really makes you think about Rekieta's financial stability, and maybe even his future.
Absolutely. And get this, some users went above and beyond. They dug up and shared both Rekieta's primary residence address, 1291 51st St. NE in Spicer, and the address of a second house he's currently trying to sell, which is located at 12565 52nd St. NE, also in Spicer.
Wow, they really don't miss a beat.
They really don't. They even went as far as to archive the foreclosure notice itself. You can find it at https://ghostarchive.org, Barchival 9AG4.
Talk about meticulous documentation. It's impressive, even if their methods can sometimes be, well, questionable.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag. But one thing's for sure, this online community is leaving no stone unturned when it comes to Rekieta's situation.
No kidding.
They're analyzing every bit of information, coming up with their own theories, and speculating about what might happen next. It's like watching a real-life drama unfold.
And with a potential foreclosure on the horizon, alleged financial troubles coming to light, and a whole community following his every move, it makes you wonder where this leaves Rekieta.
Right. It's a tough spot to be in, to say the least.
Definitely. This situation could have some serious implications for Rekieta, both on a personal and professional level.
Losing his home would be a big blow, obviously, but it goes beyond just the property.
I agree.
His entire livelihood as an online personality and lawyer is so intertwined with his online presence. It makes you wonder how this might affect his brand, his reputation. Could it even affect his ability to practice law?
Yeah, those are all valid questions. What started as a simple foreclosure notice has really snowballed into this complex web of speculation, online investigation, and potential real-world consequences.
It's definitely more than just internet gossip. It gives you a glimpse into just how powerful these online communities can be, how they can affect people's lives, for better or for worse.
Absolutely.
It really makes you think about the reach and influence of these platforms, especially for someone like Rekieta, who's built his career in the digital space. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's take a closer look at what's actually being said on Kiwi Farms. What are people's reactions to this? What kind of insights are they sharing about Rekieta?
Well, one particularly striking observation came from a user named Pelican Bones. They point out the irony of Rekieta potentially losing his home due to financial struggles. considering his past comedy routine.
Oh, right. I remember hearing about that.
Apparently, he used to joke about working at a bank and discovering that, well, black people supposedly didn't repay loans.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty pointed observation, especially given the current situation. It's like his past is coming back to haunt him in a way.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder how his audience might react to all this.
Definitely. This situation really highlights how online personas, especially those built on controversial humor or opinions, can backfire when real-life events contradict the narrative. It adds another layer of complexity to this already intriguing story.
For sure.
So, what else are people saying on Kiwi Farms?
It's a mix of reactions, really. Some users seem genuinely concerned for Rekieta's well-being.
I can see that.
But others, they seem to be reveling in his potential downfall. You can really feel the anticipation, the excitement. They're all waiting to see what happens next, what the consequences might be.
So they're kind of treating it like a real-time drama unfolding.
Precisely. There's a lot of talk about a Nick Rekieta homelessness arc, and someone even said, "Time for the balldo bunker to officially move to the city of failure, LA baby." It's like they're writing the next chapter of his story, trying to predict where he'll end up and how this will all impact his online presence.
So it's not just about the financial implications, it's also about the spectacle of it all.
Exactly. They're not just watching, they're actively interpreting, speculating, and engaging with the narrative. It's fascinating and a little disturbing all at the same time.
It definitely raises some questions. How much of this is driven by actual concern? And how much of it is just pure entertainment value?
That's a really good question. And it's something we'll explore further as we delve deeper into this story and the reactions it's generating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this strange mix of real-life problems and like this online performance.
Right. It's his life, but it's playing out for everyone to see on Kiwi Farms.
And those users aren't just watching. They're like analyzing every detail, coming up with their theories, even making guesses about what'll happen to him.
It's kind of wild how they can impact things.
It really makes you wonder how all this attention will affect Rekieta.
Yeah.
He's built this whole persona online.
Yeah, beyond the money problems, this could really hurt his reputation as a lawyer and his personal life, too.
And don't forget the legal side of things.
Oh, right?
Foreclosure can cause a whole bunch of new legal and financial headaches for him.
Not good. It sounds like the Kiwi Farms users are kind of aware of that.
Oh yeah, you can tell they're waiting for the next big thing to drop.
Yeah.
It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
Some of the comments are pretty intense, too.
Like what?
Well, some are calling this whole thing the Nick Rekieta homelessness arc.
Oh, wow.
And another one said, "Time for the balldo bunker to officially move to the city of failure, LA, baby."
They're basically writing the next part of his story, figuring out where he'll go, who will help him, and how this will all change his online life.
It's pretty crazy that in the world of social media, anyone's life can become entertainment like this.
Especially when you're someone like Rekieta who's always in the public eye.
It's interesting, but also a little creepy to see how involved they are.
Yeah, it blurs the lines between like just reading the news and being entertained by someone's problems.
Like, are they actually worried about him or just enjoying the drama?
It's a tough question, and it speaks to something bigger about these online groups.
What do you mean?
Well, they have the power to keep people in check, especially those with some influence.
Hmm.
But they can also turn into these echo chambers where everyone just agrees and negativity spreads.
So with Rekieta, it's kind of both.
It seems like they found stuff that might have stayed hidden, and maybe that'll force him to take responsibility.
But on the other hand, some are clearly getting a kick out of his bad luck.
Yeah, that's the problem with these communities. They can be a voice for the people, but they can also turn into a mob, forgetting about empathy and nuance.
It's definitely a lot to think about, but for a second, let's go back to Rekieta himself.
Okay.
We talked about money and legal stuff, but what about the emotional side of this? How's all this scrutiny and online chatter affecting him personally?
This is a good point. We often forget about that in all the online discussions.
It's easy to forget he's a real person going through a lot of stress and anxiety, maybe even shame because of all this.
It's a harsh reminder that what we do online can have real consequences, and we can't ignore how it affects people's feelings.
Right. People feel free to say things online they'd never say to someone's face, and all those comments can really hurt.
So when we're online, we got to remember that our words matter.
Definitely, we should try to be understanding even when we disagree with someone or get caught up in the drama.
Well said. But let's not forget, this isn't over yet. The sale isn't until February 2025. That's over a year away.
True, a lot can change. He could fix his money problems, sell the house, or even work out a deal with the lender.
Right, there are still options. And I bet the Kiwi Farms folks will be watching every little thing.
Giving their opinions and analysis the whole way. It's like a story they're all helping to write.
It's an interesting way to look at it. The way stories are told is changing in our digital world.
It's not like the old days where stories were just given to us, now the audience is involved.
Yeah, they share their thoughts, interpretations, even predictions.
Which can be good and bad.
Exactly. It can lead to more interesting and diverse stories, but it can also spread lies and make harmful biases worse.
We gotta be careful what we believe, especially with these communities where truth and opinions get mixed up.
You're right. So as we continue looking into this, we need to stay critical and think about all the different reasons people are saying what they're saying.
For sure, but let's not forget the human side of this Rekieta situation shows that online actions have real-life consequences, and we need to be empathetic in these spaces.
Absolutely. A good thing to remember as the lines between the online world and the real world get blurrier.
So what have we learned from this look into Rekieta's potential foreclosure and all the talk it's caused online?
Well, it shows how powerful these online communities can be. They can find information and hold people accountable, even those in positions of power.
Yeah, and we saw how fast information spreads online. One public document started a huge wave of discussion and scrutiny.
Plus, it shows how storytelling is changing nowadays. The audience isn't just sitting back. They're actively shaping the narrative.
It's a lot to take in, and it makes you think about privacy online ethics and the impact of social media on our lives.
It reminds us that the internet isn't some separate world. It's connected to our real lives, and what we do online matters.
So as we wrap up this part, what's the most important thing for our listeners to remember?
I'd say it's to think critically and engage in a thoughtful way. When you're online, especially in these communities, think about where the information is coming from, people's motives, and any potential biases.
And don't forget, there are real people on the other side of those screens. What we say and do can have a real impact on them. Let's be responsible and caring online.
Yeah, it really highlights how complex everything is online, like the good and the bad all mixed together.
And with Rekieta, it shows how we don't often think about the money side of things for these internet personalities.
Right, we see the successful streams, the fancy lifestyle, but behind all that, there's this whole system that can be pretty fragile.
Like those super chats, the forum mentioned how losing those can really hurt a YouTuber's income.
It makes you wonder if building a career solely online, on YouTube, is really sustainable in the long run.
Yeah, what with the algorithms always changing and people's interests shifting, it's got to be tough.
Not to mention the income can be all over the place, feast or famine.
Definitely makes you think about those financial realities for creators. Maybe they need to be more open about that stuff.
Yeah, what if they were more upfront with their audience about the money side of things? Could that make the community more understanding and supportive?
That's a really good point. Definitely something to think about. But for now, let's get back to Rekieta and this whole foreclosure thing.
Right, remember, the sale isn't until February 2025, so he has some time to figure things out.
More than a year, actually. Who knows what could happen between now and then.
Exactly. He could get his finances in order to maybe sell the house or even work out a deal with the bank.
So many possibilities. But those Kiwi Farms folks, they'll be watching every step of the way.
Oh, for sure, turning it into their own little reality show.
It's kind of a harsh reminder, though, that actions have consequences both online and in real life.
Definitely. Even though the internet can feel separate, sometimes it really can impact people's lives in a big way.
This whole situation with Rekieta is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, it shows that we have to be mindful of what we say and do online. We got to be empathetic and responsible.
Well said. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the most important thing we want our listeners to take away from all this?
I think the biggest takeaway is to be really careful about what you see and read online, especially in these communities. Always question things and think critically.
Right. Think about where the information's coming from, what their motives might be, and if there are any biases you should be aware of.
And never forget that there are real people behind those screens. What we do and say online can have a real impact on them. Let's all try to be responsible and kind out there in the digital world.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember to approach the online world with curiosity, but also with a healthy dose of caution.